Hi, I'm Kristin. Welcome to my channel, From Chronic Fatigue to Chronic Abundance. Every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I go live to answer your questions about how to live better while you still have severe chronic fatigue as a symptom, regardless of the source of your fatigue. Maybe you haven't been diagnosed with anything. Maybe you have CFS or lupus or fibromyalgia or even hyperthyroidism or Lyme's disease. There are certain struggles and challenges we all face when we have severe chronic fatigue as a symptom, and that's what I am here to talk about today. So the way this works is I love it when people introduce themselves. I love to know where you're coming from, and you just pop your questions in the chat box directly, and then I just go through them in order, and I give you my take on the answers. Now, I'm not a doctor or a therapist, and I'm not licensed in anything at all in life. I am merely sharing these things because I have been there, done that. I spent over 6 years going through a cycle of becoming severely ill with severe chronic fatigue as a symptom, recovering, relapsing, okay? And the first time around, it took me a couple years of being very ill before I figured out what I needed to heal. And even then, it was like another year and a half or so of healing before I actually got my life back. When I say I got my life back, I mean, I went from unemployed, unable to hold a job, unable to walk freely, unable to read a book or watch a movie, to having all of that back, being able to plan for my future again, being able to have a social life, working full-time and more than full-time in an office again, and just having that freedom. And I lost it all when I relapsed. And I was gaining it all back when I relapsed again completely. And it was finally after that third time, I realized that in addition to learning how to heal, which I felt like I had done, because every time I healed faster, I needed to tighten up how I was living. I needed to really nail the art of generating and sustaining energy physically, mentally, and emotionally in order to not only recover, but to begin to avoid relapses entirely. And it's been over 4 years since my last recovery, and I feel like I have figured out how to avoid relapses. So people always ask me, what did you do? What supplements? What doctors? And the thing is, every time I healed, I used different practitioners to help me heal. There were different people helping me along the way. I had different blood work done. I needed different supplements in different doses, in different quantities, and just entirely separate things throughout my journey to heal. Okay, so I am one person and I've healed from this multiple times, and there was no magic bullet supplement or plan that helped me heal. All right, so I can't tell you what you need. What did work for me was working on my mindset. No, I'm not saying my health issues were in my mind. They were not in my mind. There were physical things wrong with me that absolutely needed to be discovered and then treated and corrected. However, my mindset helped shape how I showed up at the doctor's office. It helped shape how I lived my life in order to heal. It helped me make the decisions I needed to make to heal, which is to rest when I didn't want to, something we all struggle with, right? It helped me realize that I needed to take full accountability and responsibility for my healing journey. I couldn't hand that over to the doctors. I couldn't just show up at a doctor's office and expect them to take the wheel on my health and just follow their plan and that everything would be fine. I learned the hard way that wasn't the case. I needed to be in the driver's seat of my health, and I needed to start looking at doctors and other practitioners as people I was hiring on my team to help get me where I wanted to go. But I was the one making the decisions. I was the one calling the shots. I was the one deciding if a doctor was or was not the right person to be on my healing team, right? And in addition, my mindset also helped me save a little bit of energy every day. Whenever we're really ill, it's super easy and commonplace and even healthy to be experiencing a lot of heavy emotions that drain us of our energy. Sadness, frustration, guilt, anger, the list goes on of those heavy emotions. But my mindset helped me get out of those heavy emotions faster, even while I was still ill, all right? Even while life wasn't fair and I didn't have what I wanted and needed in life. I was able to spend more of my time in those lighter emotions that give you more energy, okay? And yes, it's only a little small difference in energy when you have your emotions and your mindset right. But that little bit of energy every single day that I could then pour into my healing journey absolutely helped and absolutely made a difference for me, okay? It didn't heal me. Changing my mindset didn't heal me itself, but it gave me the It helped me show up the right way in life. It helped shape my actions and behaviors. It helped give me a little bit more energy every day. And the right mindset also helps give me hope and motivation for those really, really dark, deep times where I wasn't sure what I was doing and why I would continue trying to live like this, okay? The right mindset helps all of those things. So that's primarily what I talk about on this channel, the mindset that can help you discover your healing journey. All right. The other thing that I did in addition to my mindset was actually part of mindset, part of the healing mindset, as I call it, is realizing that this is a journey that no one's ever traveled before. Okay. And you're going to have to discover what your body needs to heal. You're going to have to discover your own personal hurdles to health, what's off or what's wrong, what's imbalanced in your body. What does it need to heal entirely? And to be on that journey means that what works today might not work for you tomorrow, and what isn't working today might work for you in the future. So what does that mean? It's about experimentation. We're going to have to get in this mindset of accepting that we need to discover what we need. We can't just, there's no one person, I'm saying this because I believe this applies to like 90% of people with these conditions. There typically isn't one person you can go to who has the entire plan mapped out, exactly what you need to do. You can just follow it and everything will just be better. There's going to be, for a substantial portion of it, a process of discovery, of trial and error, of testing things out and seeing how your body responds to it. Okay? Because that's how every single one of my healing journeys went. It was about testing things out and discovering what I needed. Now, I didn't do it alone. I highly, highly recommend putting in the time and effort to find the right practitioner to work with you at every stage of your healing journey. And it might be one person who can take you across the finish line, but more likely it's probably going to be multiple people you need to help you through stages of your healing journey. And it is worth the time and effort to find that person. People who are experienced in this, people who've already helped hundreds of other people with conditions like yours to heal, because they're going to guide you through that trial and error process, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of things out there that you could try. So where do you start? It gets very expensive. It takes a lot of time to discover these things and understand all the nuances of them and figure out the right dose and all the cofactors and what is a good symptom and what's a negative symptom, resulting from taking these things. Like, for example, if you take something and you feel really energetic and energized, you can think, wow, this is great for me. I need this. But in some cases, I'm just saying this as an example, some supplements or other treatments that you're taking that are giving you energy are actually giving you energy because they're stressing your body out. They're producing more cortisol. They're causing your body to produce more cortisol and adrenaline, which is actually going to harm you in the long run. So like, more energy isn't always better. Or, for example, sometimes there are supplements you could be taking that can actually make you feel more sluggish and more brain fogged for a while. But that can actually be a sign that the supplement or treatment is actually helping you. All right. It's just that there are processes in between where you're at now and where you're going to feel better that need to happen before you start feeling better. Right. Okay. And it's not everything, but I'm just saying that, like, when you have an expert guiding you through those things, that's how you can know to interpret the things correctly. Okay. And they help you figure out what you should be trying first. And they help guide you when you get weird responses and symptoms, or whenever you're having a hard time or you're starting to lose faith in what you're trying. A great doctor is going to be there to talk to you about why you're doing what you're doing, whether it's a good idea to continue, whether maybe it's a good idea stopping, what to do instead. Like, they're going to be that person. They're going to be your coach, talking you through every step of your healing journey. Now, it took me years to find really good ones. I understand they're not everywhere and you can't find them overnight. So it is another like journey and a process to find them. But I cannot say enough how important that is and how much I recommend it, because it was crucial for me to find these people to help me through each stage of my healing journey. So if you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat box now. So no question is too big or too small or too personal or too specific or too weird. Like, anything goes here. All right. We have talked about super adult topics like masturbation. We have talked about diets a lot. We've talked about what to do when family members aren't supporting you. We did a couple weeks ago, we had a big talk about what to do if you're living with a narcissist while you're trying to heal. That was a really, really deep and also very personal conversation for me. People have asked questions about specific supplements, or how do you find a great doctor, or I don't know, been a ton of questions. I'm happy to revisit any of those if you want to ask about those again. If you have any other questions, if you just want to share some of the things that you're challenged with right now when you're trying to heal, we can talk about that. If you want to talk about things that you've tried that have worked, or if you want to talk about things that you've tried that haven't worked, all of that is fair game, okay? So just get your questions in there. It's way easier for me to respond to your questions than it is for me to just sit here and come up with stuff to talk to, because I love to know that what I'm talking about is relevant and helpful for you. And the best way to do that is to just answer your questions directly. Hi, Anna. Good to see you. Anna's been doing really well lately. If there's anyone on who doesn't know Anna, she's been on an upswing, having more energy, doing a little bit more with her days, which is super exciting and totally worth celebrating. Part of the healing mindset is also celebrating every little win that we have, okay? Not setting up the expectation that because today was a good day, then tomorrow will also be a good day. We can't set that expectation with our healing journey. We have to be in this mindset of discovery. Like I talked about earlier, discovering our treatments and discovering what we need to heal. We also need to be in the habit of discovering what each day holds for us. Because even whenever you have something that's working well for you, there's still going to be like down days. You're still going to go in circles and go backwards and everything on your journey to health. It's not just a perfect linear straight line. It has tons of bumps and divots and loops and all that crazy stuff in it, okay? But it is worth feeling gratitude and getting excited for a moment about the wins that we do experience on the way. So yay, Anna. Let's see. So well, I'm waiting for questions. I always do this. I'm always like, what do I talk about? I usually try to come up with something beforehand, and then I like forget it once I get on camera. Just a little bit of those jitters, I guess. Let's see here. Well, maybe I can give you guys an update. Like a month ago, about 4 weeks ago now, I got bit by a dog, and I have this gnarly scar that's forming now. Can you see it? Maybe I need to get closer. So it had totally punctured my skin there. It had torn my skin open, and now I just have, is it focusing on that? It doesn't look like it's focusing on that. Can I get it to focus on that? Maybe I can't. But yeah, it's a little gnarly. I'm always going to have a scar there from now on, but it's getting all better. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. And I had to go on antibiotics for the first time in years and years. I can't even tell you the last time I went on antibiotics. And, if you've been in the online health space for a while, you've probably read that antibiotics aren't so great because they can kill off all of our healthy gut bacteria. So while I was on the antibiotic, and then also, I guess for the past month since then, I've been on a super heavy duty probiotic since then. And it seems to be helping. It seems to be working. I actually feel like maybe my gut health is a little bit better now than it was before I got bit, because I've started taking this heavy duty probiotic. Probiotics are often recommended for general health, but they're the kind of thing I cycle on and off of. I don't know that I necessarily see a benefit from always taking one, but if I cycle through, I notice some great things happening that last for a while. So it's one of those things you can do to save a little bit of money. You don't necessarily have to have a probiotic every day, all day, once you achieve some level of health. One other thing I want to mention that I learned recently is that, for a long time, at least, I thought the best probiotics were the ones that needed to be refrigerated. And it made sense to me, like, oh yeah, of course it's higher quality, it's fresher, the bacteria stay alive or whatever. But then it was the idea was put forth that, well, actually, if your bacteria can't survive at room temperature in these probiotics, then how on earth are they going to survive once they hit the heat of your stomach? So I've actually switched to less expensive probiotics that are shelf stable, and I'm seeing great results on those, if that's something that has ever stopped anyone from buying probiotics, thinking you need to buy the expensive refrigerated ones, when really the shelf stable ones may actually be better. I'm not saying all shelf stable probiotics are good. There's a lot of crappy probiotics out there. Be very careful, but you don't always need to go for the super expensive ones. All right. Hey, Anna, you have a question about how to get better after overdoing. Did you crash? Let's see. As you said, you have your ups and your downs, and you were just wondering about some tips about recovering from dips. The first rule is rest, rest, rest. You got that right. But maybe some supplement you could ask your doctor about to get rid of lactic acid or whatever is the after in anaerobic state. So I'm assuming that it sounds like you're in a crash or close to a crash, where you're in that post-exertional malaise area where your energy is significantly lower than it was before after too much exertion. And of course, too much exertion is very relative for us, can change day to day. There is no like magic cure for recovering from a crash, unfortunately. It's still not entirely understood what is going wrong in a crash. There's lots of theories. And I personally think that what happens in a crash may be slightly different for each person. So what you would need to get out of a crash faster might be different than what I had needed. But I also personally never found anything that helped me get out of a crash faster other than resting. However, in addition to just resting, I would spend as much time as you can activating the parasympathetic nervous system, activating your rest and digest response, because activating that system in your body is going to fully fire up your body's natural healing abilities. It's going to give your body the best chance at correcting whatever imbalance happened. I would also talk to like one of the doctors you're working with right now about whether they think that maybe a combination of CoQ10 and acetyl L-carnitine, CoQ10 and acetyl L-carnitine in a higher dose might be beneficial during those crashes, but like I said, I'm not sure that necessarily helped me. But if you really are looking for something, when we're in a crash and we've overexerted the aerobic pathways, like that's really what a crash is when our heart rate gets too high. And by too high, I mean whenever our heart rate gets up to the threshold of aerobic activity, and we've been in aerobic activity and we're utilizing our body's aerobic pathways for too long, for 2 minutes or more, that's whenever we crash and we experience post-exertional malaise and this dip, as you're calling it. So what do I want to say about that? Lactic acid buildup is typically characterized by like a lot of muscle soreness, okay? But it's muscle soreness in the muscles that were being overused. And what's much more common with severe chronic fatigue is to have full body soreness, okay? Which says to me that that's not lactic acid, because that's not the way lactic acid works. It's localized to the muscles where it was produced until it's cleared, right? So if you have more general body aches and pains, it's probably not a lactic acid issue. So I wouldn't go looking for ways to clear the lactic acid personally. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. This is just my opinion on how I've educated myself on things and what I've learned through my own healing journey. Don't take this as gospel, but since you asked me, I'm giving you my opinion. That's how this works. And there's theories about why that happens, like when we're in the aerobic energy pathways for too long, why that crashes and what's needed to correct things. And it typically comes down to something about the mitochondria, which is why I said maybe talk to your doctor about increasing CoQ10 and acetyl L-carnitine when you're in a crash, because those are two common supplements that help people generate more energy at the mitochondrial level. Beyond that, even that's just a kind of a wild guess based on my own experiences. Like, crashes are hard, and every time we crash, we should use that as more motivation to avoid the next crash. I know it can be hard when you're feeling better. You want to push your boundaries. You want to discover how much energy you have. You want to see how much you can do. And this is the danger of feeling better, because we get so hopeful and we start thinking about how much we can do, and we get focused on how much can I do. And then we end up crashing more often, and that can set us back further, because every time we crash, we've taken several steps backwards. We've got to take a few steps forward to get back to where we were before, right? So especially as you're beginning to heal, it's extremely important to avoid those crashes, all right? And use this pain of being in your dip to avoid the next one. Have a little more patience. Try not to push and stretch as much, because in the long run, it's going to help you. I did an activity which was okay before, but on Saturday, it made me extremely tired. So I had to stay in bed for some days, and now it is better. Okay. I'm glad you're feeling better. So you did an activity which was okay before, and then it wasn't okay. That's an example of why I say we need to get in a state of mind of discovery. We need to be willing to wake up every morning and discover what our energy is. Just because we could do something yesterday doesn't mean we can do it today. Just because today's a good day doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be exactly as good or better. We need to be constantly monitoring our bodies and looking for those early warning symptoms, those early warning signs of overexertion, so we can stop ourselves, pull ourselves back before it happens. And yes, it's frustrating, and yes, it's hard, and yes, there's a learning curve to it. But the better we get at that, the more we avoid those crashes, the faster we can get where we want to go. It's just a fundamental part of healing from this. And I always need to caveat, avoiding crashes is not going to be enough to get you all the way better, probably. I don't really know anyone who's just stopped crashing and then gets all of their energy back at some point. But it does help. All right. Instead of, you're not taking any steps back, you're just slowly taking little steps forward. Right. Hi, Nika. You heard that glutathione and BCAAs can also help with PEM. She hasn't tried it yet, though. Might be something else to talk to your doctor about, Anna. Glutathione and BCAAs. I've never taken BCAAs. I have taken glutathione, and I didn't really notice any difference with it. It wasn't a big thing for me personally, but that doesn't mean it might not be something that you need. BCAAs and glutathione are also super popular for people who are healthy, to help give more energy and to help recover faster from intense workouts and stuff. So there's a good bit of science behind those things, but I don't know how much science there is on those for people with severe chronic fatigue as a symptom. And see, Anna says, yes, it was all in your body, but mostly in your arms because you were cooking. You were cooking on that day. Yeah. So maybe like the extra soreness in your arms, maybe there was a little bit of lactic acid buildup, but that's normal. Like anytime you've worked out your body more than you're used to, you're going to be sore. Just like I did a really intense workout on Tuesday and I used muscles I haven't used in over a month. And I was really sore the next day, but that's just part of the body getting back into shape. So, if there was a cure to that, it would be worth $1 billion, and somebody would have come out with a way of clearing lactic acid faster in the body, because anybody who works out a lot, or anyone who's starting to work out, knows that pain of the day after you push your muscles more than they're used to. It's painful. So, maybe maybe next time that little bit of lactic acid pain from working yourself harder than you're used to can be another little moment of celebrating. Like, wow, look what I was able to do. I was able to use my arms so much that my muscles are a little bit sore the next day. Because whenever your muscles are sore from being worked, it means they're getting stronger. When the body goes in and heals that damage from working out, it makes them a little bit stronger that time. So like, I think that's actually a really, really great moment for you to have been able to do that. Even if it resulted in a crash, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. The bad is that you crashed and had to recover from it. And the good is that you were able to do that in that moment and then get to feel that pain of physical exertion. To me, that sounds like a milestone. And that's definitely the kind of thing I used to honor as a milestone in my journey too. And it always helped me to find those little milestones to honor. Because even though I couldn't guarantee that that milestone is something I could still do tomorrow, the fact that I could get there at all, that I could do it at all, is the progress, right? Yeah. So maybe you don't feel this way, but I'm going to say congrats, Anna, on being able to do that, and also learning to be a little more cautious next time you've been able to do something. Maybe not always expecting that because I did it before, it's going to be okay all the time. There's still it's still a little treacherous going forwards, okay? But just being present with your body and looking for those early warning symptoms of overexertion are going to help you a lot on the way. Not setting those expectations of I'm definitely going to cook all this today, but working in a way where you take it slower and do what you can to stay within those boundaries. Yay. All right, let's see. What other questions are there? I got a new laptop recently, and I love it. I had to get it for work because I'm doing so much more video work. I needed a stronger laptop to do that video work. Unfortunately, though, I'm so upset that I bought this new laptop and I spent all this money on it. My old laptop, my 5-year-old laptop, actually had a better camera than this one right here. And it's very upsetting to me that I spent all this money and it doesn't have as good of a camera. So I can kind of see it right now. Can you guys notice that the video quality isn't like as clear as it normally is? Or does it look the same to you? Does it look fine to you? I'm curious what the experience is on your end, because on my end, I can definitely tell the camera's not as good. And it makes me unhappy. Let's see. What else can I talk about? What's some stuff that I've read about recently that I wanted to share with you guys? I'm not sure. I still like to read about what other people are doing to heal. I like to read about the programs other people are offering to help people heal. And the ones that have helped people I know heal all have a mindset component to them. They all really focus on helping to reset your nervous system. They focus on helping you live more in your parasympathetic nervous dominance, even if they don't use that terminology. They help you feel good more. They help you rest more often. They help you get more optimistic about life. They help you live more in those light emotions. They help you, the good ones, help you process through the heavy emotions. One confusion that comes up is whenever people, or whenever I talk about having to what do I want to say? What I want to say is that there's a lot of information online about getting past your heavy emotions. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's healthy to just move on past them. I think you need to go through them. I think you need to feel them. You need to get the message that they're sending you. You need to transform that same energy, transform that heavy energy into light energy. Okay. It's not about throwing out the trash and then, bringing in some new good stuff, some fresh stuff. It's about working with the energy that's there and transmuting it into a better experience for you, because that's the way that you avoid carrying baggage around. Because energy and emotions can't be just thrown away. They stay in the body until they're felt and acknowledged and processed. And then boom, then we're free of them. All right. Not many questions today. That's okay, but it means I don't have a lot to talk about. I can think of something else to go through if I don't get any other questions. Let's see here. So, there's this idea that maybe it's not an idea, maybe it's a misconception. So when people first get ill with ME/CFS, or even if they've been ill with it for years and years, there's this idea that as long as we're physically resting, then we're resting enough. And that actually isn't true. Physically resting is important and necessary, but if when we're physically resting, we're lying there and we're stuck in our heavy emotions, we're stuck feeling extreme guilt and frustration and unfairness for hours and days and weeks and months and years, then we're not actually resting as much as we need to be, because we're not emotionally resting when we're in those heavy emotions. We're actually draining ourselves further and further when we feel that way. And the way to truly rest is to physically rest as well as emotionally rest. To work through those heavy emotions, to acknowledge the pain, to accept it as real and part of our current reality, to then move through into a place of acceptance and being able to live in lighter emotions, not forcing lighter emotions on ourselves, not forcing false positivity or any of that BS, but genuinely being able to live in that state of being more and more often is actually a truer form of rest that is more nourishing, enables our body to heal faster, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and gives the body a better chance to get where we want to go with our health. Super, super important, a little bit nuanced, not easy. It's not a choice. Emotionally resting is not simply a choice. Like physically resting is a choice. Like, okay, we can fight it, resist it, not want to rest, keep doing things. And then at some point, okay, fine, I'm going to choose to rest. You just lay down on the couch. You don't move your body. Emotionally resting is a lot harder than just a choice, because we can say like, okay, I'm going to choose to be in lighter emotions, but those heavy emotions don't really leave us. They're still kind of there, and they'll keep popping up in the back of our mind and overwhelming our thoughts and taking over our bodies when we stop being super vigilant about them, right? So it's much more than just a choice. It has to be a habit, a practice, something you do repeatedly over and over and over again. Choosing to feel those heavy emotions, learn from them, move through them, do the work you need to do about them in order to release them, in order to allow your body to be in those lighter emotions more often. And this is something I still work on, even though I've been well for so many years. I have my life back. I can work out, I can work hard, I can have a life and plan for the future and all those great things. I'm still frequently working on that emotional piece, because it is a journey of years and years and years. But the sooner you get started, the sooner you'll get there. And the more it's going to help you while you're still looking for the health that you want. All right. Another minute or two for more questions to come through. If more questions don't come through, I'm going to hop off. I very rarely cut these things short due to lack of questions, but it's happened once or twice before. And let's see, if you are here and you're looking for more connection with the group other than just on Thursdays, or you want to be able to ask me questions throughout the week, you can join the Facebook group. There'll be a link to that in the description of this video. After I finish, you can refresh the page. There'll be a link there, and then you can request to get access. I have it set up that way so the group is very private, so we don't have any trolls in there. So none of your friends or family are ever going to learn about it. And it's just a private place where we can just be honest about things, and you can ask any kind of question you want. It has been very quiet in there lately. I don't really have the bandwidth to be posting a lot of content in there more than once a week right now. But if you guys post stuff, if you guys ask questions in there, I am totally super happy to respond to those things and engage with those things. And also hopefully, it'll encourage other people in the group to engage with you as well, because that's really what I want the group for. I want the group there for everybody to be interacting with one another. And I'm still learning about ways to encourage that interaction because it doesn't come naturally to me, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm gonna hop off. We're doing this again, same time next week, same time, same place, this YouTube channel at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And oh, Nika, my psychiatrist still doesn't know anything about CFS and still treats my symptoms as anxiety. Nika, that is frustrating. That is disappointing. They're doing you a disservice. It honestly feels harmful. It's probably harmful for you to have to sit through that. I know you talked a little bit about your requirements around healthcare that you receive, the restrictions you have around the healthcare you can receive. But advice, you know, the first thing that comes to mind would be asking your psychiatrist, would be taking them through a little exercise, being like, hey, I've been seeing you for however long you've been seeing them. And then asking them, like, when's the first time I told you that I had ME/CFS? And wait for them to respond with like a date or a timeline or whatever. It's been a year since you told me you have ME/CFS. And then you can ask them, okay, what do you know about ME/CFS? And listen to their response. What do they know about that illness? And then you can ask them, okay, in what ways are you treating me that support my healing from that illness? See what they have to say. Maybe they'll have something good to say. Maybe they won't have anything to say. And tell them it feels like you're just treating me for anxiety. Even if they said that directly to you, I would frame it as feeling. I feel like you have been treating me for anxiety only. Ask them, why are you treating me for anxiety instead of this illness? If that's what you feel like has been going on. And then ask them to document everything they just said. Say, okay, thank you for that information. I would like that documented. I would like a copy of that in my file with you. And I would also like a copy of that on your stationery to take home with me. Because here's what you're doing. And this is where the right mindset comes into play. This is a hard, for people who don't like confrontation, this is a very, very challenging thing to do. However, you need a therapist who is treating you the way you should be treated, with respect and dignity, and by taking all of your health history into account, right? And when you say that your psychiatrist knows you have this health condition and seems to be ignoring that in your treatment, to me, that sounds like they're not treating you the way they're supposed to be legally or ethically. And when you can get them to describe these things to you, and only after they've answered these questions for you, then asking them to document what they said, then you'll be able to know, are they really treating you in a way that they're supposed to be? Because if they're not treating you in a way they're supposed to be, they're not going to want that documented. They're not going to want that written down. And you may see a change of heart in how they approach you. And I tell you what, when you can confront them directly like that, when you can ask them very specific questions, and when you can demand that things are documented, how they interact with you is going to change because they're going to see you differently. when you stand up for yourself and demand that type of respect. And if they agree to document those things, then that's something you can take somewhere else and maybe say, like, look, the psychiatrist I'm seeing is refusing to treat me for documented medical issues that I have. You may be able to get change that way by showing that documentation to someone else. You may be able to get, I don't know. I don't want to put too much out there, but if they refuse to document that, then they may agree to treat you more appropriately going forward instead. You'll have to see where that conversation goes, but you asked for my advice. That's the first thing that comes to mind is like, you're not going to convince this person to treat you any differently. If you've been seeing them for a while and they've refused to treat you adequately all of this time, I personally doubt that you're going to reason them into treating you a different way. I feel like you'd have to strong arm them a little bit by getting them to answer these questions, respond to these questions that you have, and then asking them to document it is going to put them in a hard place. And maybe something good to come out of it would be this psychiatrist refusing to see you again, and then you get another psychiatrist, and there's a chance that other person will be better for you. All right. So I think that's what I would do if I was in that situation today. I think that's what I would do. And if you go that route, of course, I would love to hear how it goes for you. Like I said, if you don't like confrontation, if you avoid confrontation, it's going to be a very challenging conversation for you. So go unprepared. But I would think it would be worth doing. If you need to bring notes with you, great. Do what you need to do. But that's my advice. Oh, Nika. Okay, great advice. You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime a doctor is refusing, any psychiatrist, doctor, whoever, anytime a doctor is refusing to treat us for things we've been diagnosed with, or even just saying nothing's wrong when we know something's wrong, asking them to document their refusal to treat you appropriately is usually going to snap them out of whatever headspace they're in, because they know that they will get in trouble for having that documented and for not treating you appropriately. So, all right, awesome. Sending you all of my love and health. I'll see you next week. Celebrate those milestones and that progress, however small it is, however frequently it happens. Celebrate those little wins. Accept the little challenges as just part of the healing journey, and know that every step of it is getting you a little bit closer to where you want to be. Okay. And I do in my heart, I believe you can get where you want to be health-wise. All right. Keep at it. Take care. Oh, bye, Ralph.